to 6 more weeks. This story broken by our own John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia. D-Jack missed 6 games before returning yesterday and leaving after the first quarter after re-aggravating that same injury. Welcome into Quick Slants, presented by Nissan along with Barrett Brooks. I'm Mark Farzetta in for Derek Gunn. News certainly not good today, Barrett.
Absolutely not, but I mean, at this point, we got to go forward. We got to move forward. We understand we haven't been without this guy for the last 6 weeks. We haven't had D-Jacks out there, so we got to keep going where we're going. We found something that really works for us, running the ball consistently, so let's use that. But D-Jacks bigging it out, it's really put us in an odd predicament because now, defensively, defensive coordinators don't have to worry about that deep threat, taking the top off. The speed that kills is all but gone now. Now we have to be human at this point when he's not there. You can tell the difference in the first half and the second half in the Chicago game. First half, they thought he was going to be out there, so they played it totally differently. They had 2 high safeties, man underneath, came out that second half, dropped that safety back in there. We couldn't run the ball as efficiently. So, I mean, it's definitely a difference on how defensive coordinators look at Carson and how they look at that offense. But, hey, we just got to move forward.
Yeah, certainly a good snippet as to why they would reacquire Deshaun Jackson this past offseason, because he does the proverbial top off the defense. But you know what, Barrett? Let's take a closer look at Deshaun Jackson's season so far. After a huge week 1, Deshaun first got hurt in week 2 against the Falcons in Atlanta, briefly played in that game, then he missed 6 straight games before coming back yesterday and ultimately leaving in the first quarter again. Now he'll undergo the surgery, and this is what Doug Peterson had to say when first asked if he had any regrets about playing Deshaun yesterday. Then he was asked a follow-up question a little bit later in the press conference. Take a listen to how his response has changed throughout the PC.
Was there any regrets playing yesterday?
No.
And why not?
I mean, going into the game, going into his rehab, what he had been doing, he was really, as I had mentioned, he'd been busting his tail, to get back out on the field, and he had a really good week of practice.
Were you reluctant at all to not play him yesterday with an extra week, giving him essentially 3 more weeks to heal something that wasn't aggressive?
I mean, sitting here today, you kind of go, all right, maybe you should have. You're second guessing now.
So I don't know which one it is there, but I would assume if you're the Eagles in a right frame of mind, there'd be some second guessing going on right now. So Barrett, it's a huge blow, obviously, we know that. But looking at Deshaun, who can they count on the rest of the way if he's not going to be there?
Well, that's the problem. We can't count on Deshaun right now, and it's not necessarily. Let me start this off. That injury affects certain people certain ways. If you look at a guy that had the surgery, as in Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz had that surgery, and he was back in 4.5 weeks. But then Mac Hollins has the same surgery, and he's out in the whole season. It really just depends on how your body reacts to that type of surgery. Now, we're talking about a guy that runs a 4.240. Let's face it. Everybody listening out there, they're not that fast. In fact, half the viewers more than that. Probably 99% of the viewers we're talking to right now don't even run less than a 4.5, even a 4.4. But this guy runs a 4.2. That's almost lightning type of speed. So when his body reacts to a certain type of tear or a certain type of injury, it's a lot different than a guy like me. Now, I thought I was fast because I was, 300 pounds. I ran a 5 flat 40. We're talking about this guy's in outer space how fast he can run. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of mindset when you think about a guy getting surgery and what the surgery is going to do to his body and how he plays the game. Now, evidently, it was the 3rd play of the game that he hurt himself and detached the muscle from the bone. So he tried to go out there, he gave it his all, and like I said, he tried to get out there the best he could. He couldn't get out there, but he did at least try to go out there and play as hard as he could.
So again, what now? Because without Deshaun Jackson, you're right back to what you were playing with before, which is Alshon Jeffrey, who seems to be playing on one leg. Then you have Nelson Aguilar, a guy you can never fully depend on. You can't trust him fully. Then Mac Hollins and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who is a second-round pick that can barely stay on the football field and barely have a positive impact on the game plan itself, as well as Mac Hollins. You could say a lot of the same thing there. So when you're not really relying on your tight ends like Dallas Goedert or Zach Ertz or now Miles Sanders out of the backfield, Barrett, where do you go? Who do you go to when it comes to maybe going into free agency? Because something else that they got into was maybe going out there and making an acquisition.
Well, we're going into the bye week. We're going to have self-evaluation. These coaches need to go in and really break down who can help this team from the wide receiver position. Are they going to go out there in free agency, or are they going to rely on the guys in this locker room? I tend to believe they're going to rely on the guys in this locker room because I looked at free agency, and I don't see anything going at this point, So, Moncrief was just released by the Steelers. He just got picked up by the Panthers. So he's not available. I don't know where else we could go. Now, looking at this locker room and understanding the players that they have in this locker room, you have to give them an opportunity. It's hard for a guy to go 5 games without a catch. But we have guys that have done it. How do you do that? You're a wide receiver. You're paid to receive the ball, and you don't get a catch. That's really hard to do. So there has to be something else that they have to look at and evaluate and break down why these guys aren't either getting open, why they're not getting targeted, why they are not performing on the field. You can't just have a guy out there as a blocker. No, you can't do that. So he has to go out there, and Matt Collins, I'm talking about, he has to go out there and be a better player. Whether it's him going out there and running better routes, running faster routes, understanding the offense a little better, knowing his reads, understanding where he's supposed to fit in that offense, or the rookie going out there, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and understanding, all right, I have to go out there and start playing. Coach said we're going to have to go out there and look at it because he can play all 3 positions. Before it was just, all right, he can't play in front of Alshon. But he just said today that he can play all 3 positions. So that means he can go on the slide, he can go both outside positions. Get him on the field. We got to see what these guys can do. But the biggest thing, we got to get Carson to believe in their skill set. If he doesn't believe in their skill set, I don't think he's going to throw in the ball. He has plenty of confidence in his tight ends. He's going to go to Dallas Goedert. He's going to go to Zach Ertz. But those other guys, I can't see them doing it. So they have to build some type of camaraderie or some kind of trust that they can go into this season for the second half of the season and see what they can do, man.
Well, it's also got to be getting into Carson Wentz's head when Alshon Jeffrey himself is even dropping passes, particularly on 3rd down on Sunday.
Right.
But looking at Doug Peterson, going back to his press conference today, he was asked about, obviously, wideout position being one of concern right now. So Doug commented on that as to whether or not they're going to go out there and possibly look at the position a little bit further during the bye week.
At this point, something we'll take a look at. We got to take a look at it. Obviously, it's real. We're at the sort of the halfway point, a little over a game over the halfway point of our season, and we got time, this week to make these decisions. But we'll take a look at it. Nothing right now.
Doug Peterson right there on whether or not they're going to make an acquisition at the wide receiver position. But Barrett, there is one name that has already had 2 separate stints with the Eagles. Could they make it a 3rd? Jordan Matthews.
Well,
could he come back?
That's Carson's best friend. He's a guy that they believe in. He came in last year, had a catch in the playoffs. I believe he can come in and do something. He can't do any worse than what we have out there right now. We know he can catch, even though he did have problems catching the ball. He didn't seem to have them last year. So we're talking about a guy, he's a little longer in the tooth, but I really think that he can come in, at least make a difference as far as trust with Carson Wentz. And that's all I can add. I want somebody to go out there that he trusts, and he definitely trusts this guy. I look at everybody else, man. It's tough, man. Mike Wallace is out there. We all know what happened with Mike,
Just the training camp with the Eagles last year.
Yeah, like Calvin Bishop probably played 3 technique. He played D-line now. He's a big old dude now, man. So I don't know. What else can you do? Where else can you go? It seems like all the best receivers are on the team. That's why they're the best receivers. So, we got to do something. We got to pull a rabbit out of a hat or something, man. Greg Ward, what are we going to do, man?
Well, at what point do you start relying on some of those guys that are in-house? J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Greg Ward, who was only active, I believe, for 1 game.
Carson's got to be the guy. Carson has got to get guys more involved, He's the franchise quarterback. He has to see what these guys can bring to the table. He has to trust that if he throws it to them, they're going to catch it. He has to trust that they're going to run the right route. He has to trust that the timing will be all right. And he's not trusting that right now, so they're not going to get the ball. They have to show him that they want to play, man. And that's the biggest thing. Just like the rookie left tackle went out there and showed you he can play, well, those guys got to do the same thing. The rookie running back Sanders showed you he can play. That's why he's getting some burn now. He's getting some run. You have to show Carson. You can't just tell him, I was drafted in the 2nd round. You got to throw to me. No. Go out there and prove that you can do it. Whether it's in practice, pulling Carson aside, hey man, let's get some routes after practice or before practice or whenever you can give me a little time. You got to do those type of things. It's not going to be handed to you. Unless you go out there and take it, you're not going to be able to get it. This is a what have you done for me lately league. All that stuff that J.J. Arthur-Whiteside did in the preseason and in camp don't mean a thing. It doesn't mean one thing. Mac Hollins, you got to show me more than what you're showing me. You came out there, you demoed a little bit against the Atlanta Falcons. You ain't did nothing since then. Give me some action, man. It's about action. Give me some, man. Don't be scared to be great, man. I think that's what's going on. They want to sit back and let everybody else be great. That's how you find yourself on the bench. That's how you find yourself at home, too, bro.
Yeah, that's also gets
be on the hound.
It reminds you just a little bit that Mac Hollins is the guy that also said he'd rather play special teams than play wide receiver.
That's crazy.
That's
man.
the target right now for Carson Wentz.
Man.
That's insane. But you know what? Aside from that, the Eagles did have a 19-0 lead at one point against the Bears. Nearly squandered it, though, Barrett, all before icing the game late on Sunday. So my question is, are the Eagles back on track even a little bit, or are the Bears just that bad?
I think it's neither. I think it's just more so the Deshaun effect. I mean, you saw what happened. When they came out, they thought Deshaun was playing. They came in two high safeties, man underneath. We call that two-man. Everybody else was man up underneath, but they made sure they had a safety over the top of Deshaun Jackson. So you couldn't put that safety in the box. That's why they ran the ball so well, because the other safety was in the box. Second half, they made the adjustment, brought that safety back down. Now you're rocking an 8-man box. It's hard to run against an 8-man box, but hey, at the end of the game, they still showed the test of fortitude to go out there and block those 8-man boxes, still go out there and ice this game by running the rock.
Absolutely. I'll say this much. It was not an inspiring win, but as a lot of fans were saying as they were leaving the
Hey,
stadium,
a win is a win, you know what I'm saying?
A win is a
You put
win.
some lipstick on that pig, it's still a pig, but it's still a win.
This one had some lipstick and earrings.
Right.
Still didn't look all that great. Still to come, more on Deshaun Jackson being out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. We play a little Believe It or Not as well with our own Dave Zangaro. Plus, Eagles have found a winning formula when they do rely on that run. Derek Gunn goes gun on one with one of the guys paving the lane for the Birds back. Lane Johnson when we return.
Authentic fans, there's only one place for you to be before every Eagles game. Eagles pregame live. Watch it on NBC Sports Philadelphia, the My Teams app, or NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com.
Barrett, I think we found the Eagles' winning formula. Check out these rushing totals from their 5 wins this season. They racked up at least 120 yards on the ground in all of them. But the Jets game, Lane Johnson on the offensive line, well, he's been a big reason for this run game success, and the right tackle went gun on one after the Birds' most recent win.
That's 2 consecutive weeks that this running game has basically mowed down 2 pretty good run defenses. Give me the key ingredients of why this run game has really amped up over the last couple of weeks in particular.
Yeah, I don't know if you really watch us practice, but every day we start out, moving those down guys into the linebackers' lap, teeing off, and really I just think we stay consistent with it the past couple weeks, and it's really been big for us, and complemented that with some quick games, some play action, and really it's worked out for us.
When you guys are averaging 4.5, 5 yards a carry like that, how much pressure is that not only taking off of Carson Wentz, but the offense in general, especially when you still don't have a Deshaun Jackson out there to help loosen things up on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's a team game, and sometimes you don't have all your guys, so you have to make things work, and that's really what we been doing. Did a good job executing, moving the down guys to the linebackers' lap. Running backs putting their foot in the ground, getting north, and that's really it. And then this bye week has had a good time for us, get guys healthy, and get ready for the second half of the season.
Let that offensive line and those running backs eat, as they say, Barrett. So how about some love for the big guys up front, not just Lane Johnson, but also Andre Dillard in this one?
No question, those guys are playing at another level when it comes to the run game. Their double teams inside are allowing those back to get into the second level before they're getting hit. The double team is going up to that second team the second pair linebackers. And when they're dropping them off the ball, it's creating them holes that they need to get into. And the running backs, they're starting to take it to another level also. If you look even Sanders, it's one step cut, get it to the line, and always falling forward. If you keep that up, there's going to be few and far between teams that can stop this offensive running game.
And Brandon Brooks having one heck of a season, especially getting on that screen to Miles Sanders
No
in
question.
the first quarter. Quick Slants will be back in 90 seconds with Dave Zangaro. Welcome back. Time for a little Believe It or Not with our good friend Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia. NBC Sports Philadelphia Farzetta.com. Dave, welcome in. So here's how this is going to work. I'm sure you've played it before. What we'll do is we'll present something to you that came out of the Eagles news today. You tell us, believe it or not.
I do not believe it.
Oh, so you were there for the press
I was there for it, yeah.
Let's start out with this. Our John Clark broke the story about Deshaun Jackson and how he's going to have surgery. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Believe it or not, Dave, Deshaun Jackson will play again this season.
Nope. I'm having a hard time believing this. This is a guy who just struggled to get over the injury and basically made it a lot worse. I have a hard time believing it's a 4 to 6 week injury, but there's 7 weeks left. He's a 32-year-old guy whose whole game is predicated on speed. I'm just being realistic here. It doesn't seem like he's going to play again this year.
Yeah, I would have to
I believe it. Yes, I'm going to believe it because I think that the Eagles are going to win. They're going to split those games. I think they're going to win. The last couple games are going to be in the playoffs. So that means they're going to be just before the playoffs, him coming back.
All right, I think it's going to be more of a result.
That's positivity, baby.
I'll be positive. Positive everyone else in the division isn't that good.
All right.
So I'll just take it like that as far as the playoffs go. But, Dave, this one is also for you here. We just heard it in our first segment that Doug Peterson, well, he was saying earlier today that the team will look into addressing the wide receiver position. So do they make a move? Should we believe it or not?
I believe that. I think they kind of have to. There's not much out there, to be honest with you, but I would have signed Jordan Matthews yesterday. I mean, this guy, I know he's not a great receiver, but he's better than what they have. He's reliable. You guys mentioned he's best friends with Carson Wentz. That doesn't hurt. If I'm Jordan Matthews, I'm just showing up and waiting for them to sign me because they need help. And he's not the answer to all their problems, but they need to get something in here.
Not. They believe in what they have in this locker room. I know they're not going to do it, man, because that would mean that they're wrong about their choice of wide receivers in the locker room right
Well,
now.
they are wrong about it. And
I know that. You know
you
that.
really think they believe it? Now we're getting into like Inception level. Right. Believing. I don't know if they believe that truthfully.
Well, maybe they would have believed it. I mean, 6 weeks without him, and they'd gone without him, they would have gotten somebody a long time ago.
I like the idea of Jordan Matthews just being the guy like at training camp, camping outside the nose.
Just hang out.
Just sign
Jordan
me.
Matthews was a sign. Yeah.
Remember me?
Happen.
Also, for this one here, Doug Peterson talking about Jason Peters says when healthy, his job is left tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles and not Andre Dillard. Do you believe that, Dave?
I do believe that. And for better or worse, Doug Peterson has always been really loyal to his guys, especially his veteran players. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the right decision because at this point, I just don't know if they can rely on Jason Peters. But I fully expect that when he's healthy, he's going to be the guy. That's kind of been Doug's MO.
All right, we're good with that because I'm good with that. But not just because health is the issue. I just believe he's a better left tackle than the rookie at this point. Now, eventually he'll be a better left tackle, but right now Jason Peters is still the best fit for this offensive line. And if he's not hurt, he should be in there.
Yeah, so he'll be the best left tackle for how many snaps each game?
All right, 3/4 of a game, I'll take it.
See, I believe both of you, but I also don't believe that Jason Peters will be healthy again. And if he is, it will be in the spotty play like you just alluded to, Dave.
Yeah.
Looking at this one here, Sidney Jones, a healthy scratch yesterday. When asked about the former second-round pick today, Doug Peterson said, he's in a good spot. That good spot was a healthy scratch. You believe that, Dave?
Right, exactly. I mean, come on now. I mean, a healthy scratch. That means he's not going to. Once Avonte Maxson came back, it kind of sealed his fate because they still have Crayvon LeBlanc that's going to come back. Crayvon LeBlanc is still a guy that can come in and play better than him. So, I mean, it's almost sealed that he won't play for the rest of the year. Unless injuries.
I'm going to let everybody on the digital team know and in production that we need a gif of that reaction from Dave. But, I mean, you got to think, second round, not just a second round pick, but a guy that had, top 10, top 15 talent in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You got
and now there's a healthy stretch.
It's a real shame. I mean, I think we've gotten to the point now where even if Sidney Jones isn't a bust, he's never going to be a player here. I think we know that now.
He's got to get his NFL body. Got to get in there, lift weight.
That's what you have to see. Maybe going into next year if he's around. But Dave Zangaro, hey, enjoy the bye week, my friend.
Thank you, I will.
Absolutely. Thank
What are you doing in your bye week?
Yeah, what do you do?
I don't know. Maybe a little traveling. We'll see.
Well, if your name is D Gun, you don't come to work.
Oh, wow.
I'm here today in D-Guns. At least I came today, right?
Exactly.
Shots fired. You know what? He doesn't just give good looks, folks. You know what? He also does a fine podcast with our own Reuben Frank called the Eagle Eye Podcast. All the insight you need for the Eagles coverage here at NBC Sports Philadelphia, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Dave, thanks again. Eagles' next two opponents feature two of the best quarterbacks in the game and two of the NFL's top teams right now. So how many more wins will the Birds have coming their way this season? We'll take a look when we wrap